Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, November 26th. We are looking at possibly some major lake effect snow for the upper Midwest and the northern states. We are already having some lake effect snow for areas in Michigan, Wisconsin areas, with already a few inches of snow that have fallen. And we are looking at a huge trough that is about to dig down into the U.S. that will bring possibly feet of snow a few days after Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving weekend. I'm going to break that all down in this video. Let's get started. Here is our mid-level trough. This is our 500 millibar height wind, so our jet stream basically. You see we already have a low pressure system right here in these areas in Michigan and Wyoming areas in the northern states. That has already brought a few inches of lake effect snow to these areas. As it moves over here, we could possibly see more lake effect snow over the next few days and much colder temperatures. We're not expecting a huge lake effect snow event in the Midwest areas from this storm besides Wyoming and Michigan. Mainly just maybe some isolated couple inches of snow in the far northern Midwest states. But once we go into the 30th, that's where we have this big trough, this big polar jet disturbance, which is basically a spinning top kind of in the Arctic that has cold air wrapped around it, and when warm air collides with that, it can disrupt it and split it in half. And when that happens, it's usually what brings down these huge cold blasts across the U.S. that brings snow and very cold temperatures. If moisture is there, we will get snow. And in this case, we are seeing this huge trough dip down around the 30th and possibly bring snow across much of the U.S. in the upper Midwest and northern states like Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan areas, with feet of snow possible in these areas. We can look at our snow totals. Models, snow 24-hour snow totals. See, already had a few inches of snow or feet of snow possibly in areas in Wyoming, in Minnesota already. And we are looking at more snow from Michigan over the next few days. Like I said, that lake effect snow for the far northern areas possibly, that trough. And then once we go into the 30th, we see snow all the way in North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and even some of Michigan again. And then once we go a little bit farther ahead to the 30th, we actually see a lot of snow in Ohio start to reach down with 2 to 3 inches in Ohio by the 30th on the morning of the 30th, and 6+ inches of 24-hour snowfall totals in these areas in Indiana, Michigan, Wyoming, Illinois, and even Iowa. And once we go a little bit ahead in time, we can see snow totals get up to 3 to 4 inches in Ohio also. So we're looking at a lot of snow even for New York, with 2 to 3 inches of snow for western New York from this lake effect snow from that trough digging down. We'll have to see how this plays out. If this would be a early season polar jet disturbance. Like I said, our polar jet is like a spinning top that has cold air surrounding it, and when it gets disturbed in winter from warm air, it can cause it to drop. It will cause it to split and drop a bunch of cold air troughs down into the U.S. And if there is moisture at the same time, that can cause us to have a lot of lake effect snow events and snow all the way down south possibly. Let's go look at the Euro model. Euro model's 24-hour snow troll. This is looking at a little bit of a different ratio, so it might look a little bit different. To look at the other ratio, I was looking at on the GFS model. It just costs money, and I don't have the subscription for it currently. But these are 24-hour snow totals. See again, couple feet to almost a couple feet of snow already in these far northern states. If we go to the Sirius again, we see that big drop of snow from that jet stream with feet of snow, 7 to 12 inches of snow across much of the Midwest and northern states. If we go back in time, the Euro has less snow for the southern areas in the Midwest, like southern Ohio, central Ohio areas, and southern Illinois and Indiana. But it still has a little bit of snow, but it's less than an inch is what the Euro model has. It's a little bit of an outlier in this situation. To have to see what plans out. At first, the Euro was showing what the GFS is showing, but they kind of basically just swapped complete positions. The GFS is now showing what the Euro was showing at first, and now the Euro is showing what the GFS is showing at first. So we'll have to see as we go closer in time, see what the models show. We can also go look at a few different models. Here, for example, this is a Canadian weather model, already showing still that feet of snow in these far northern states in the Midwest. Even possibly a little bit like effect snow right after Thanksgiving in Ohio, in New York, is what this Canadian model has. But by the time we set big snow drop again with 9 to 12 inches of snow, isolate 12 inches of snow areas. So we are looking at a lot of snow possibly. Many models are agreeing on at least snow for areas in Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Wyoming, Michigan. At least those areas are expected to get snow. Ohio is kind of one of the outliers where models are kind of just going back and forth between snow in central and southern Ohio and no snow. Like if we looked at the Euro and GFS, the Euro has no snow in southern and central Ohio, while the GFS and the Canadian model do have snow for those areas. So we'll just have to see how this plays out. Look ahead in time, also see if there's any other snow events possibly, which is kind of hard to predict after that. After we go a week out, we don't really want to take anything with a grain of salt like go the week out. We can go look at the GFS and see if it shows anything though. Here goes is the GFS again, the 24-hour snow totals. It actually has a little bit of a snow event for Kansas on the 2nd of December. We'll have to see how that plays out. We're looking at even more snow on the 3rd for Ohio and New York. We'll have to see how this plays out in more snow for Iowa on the 4th. GFS had a lot of snow actually. Well, in the front still has snow in New York and Ohio. So the GFS picking up on a lot of snow, picking up on multiple days of snow across the Midwest, and even some of the central plains, like Kansas, getting snow. Well, that's a big leap. We'll have to see if that actually turns out. That is over a week or two out now. So that you definitely want to take that as a big grain of salt and don't like take that anything serious. I would be a little bit more prepared if you were in the Midwest and Northwest and North states for the 30th, but that's only about 4 days out from now. So that's more likely to actually happen than what the GFS is showing with Kansas and the other states past December. We aren't even in December yet, so that's just impossible to completely predict that correctly. Let's look at our jet stream though and see why the GFS is showing that. Here is our 500 millibar height wind, our jet stream. That's trough moving through right now. Then we have that snow, that trough moving through that's going to bring that snow. So this is what the GFS has. There's a little bit of another trough, little trough digging down here in Texas and Kansas area. Possibly causing snows, what the GFS is saying. That trough, that same Arctic air, staying in for quite a while. And then it shows just a very active jet stream pattern. So we'll have to see how this plays out, but it is definitely showing a major jet disturbance. Okay, let's go up to the northern hemisphere and look at that. Let's look at our temperature anomalies real quick. See that cold Arctic air dropping down from the Arctic, from that polar jet disturbance. You see this warm air clashing with it. Basically going to cause this very cold Arctic air to drop down. You see that Arctic air. The GFS has the end of the run starting to possibly try to get warmer temperatures across the U.S. We'll have to see how this plays out, but it's looking like we may have a major polar jet disturbance that could cause major lake effect snow possibly for Kansas even. That's, like I said, way too far to know for sure. But we will have to watch that closely, see how this turns out. I'll look at one other thing. Let's look at our height anomalies real quick. Remember our height anomalies, our mid-atmosphere. You can see that warm and cold air clashing in the Pacific, clashing with that polar jet. that is what is going to bring that cold air down. You see when it clashes with that warm air, it pushes it ejects that cold air down into the U.S., bringing much, much colder temperatures and possibly snow if there's enough moisture there. We'll have to see how this plays out. That's going to be all for this video. Thank you all for watching. And make sure you guys subscribe for more videos and comment your state down below. And I'll tell you if you may get snow.